Hi everyone, I'm Christine Gritmon and this is Social, the live stream that I do every Friday at 12 noon where a guest and I speak about social media. And we all know that a very big part of everyone's social media strategies now is video. But video can be a little scary. So I have here Patricia Stark.
Hi everybody.
From Patricia Stark Communications, and she is a news anchor who is also a certified communications expert, body language coach, public speaking coach. You get people media ready.
Everything, yes. All that kit and caboodle, yes.
That is fantastic.
It's fun. It's something different every day. I get to meet so many interesting people. I love helping people get ready for whether it's a public speaking event or a media appearance or even an interview where they can trust themselves and feel confident.
That's really great. And it's so important, especially nowadays, because it used to be only sometimes people would be on video and it's a very big deal. Now people are on video all the time.
Yeah, I mean, people come to me that say, I never thought I'd be in front of the camera, and now I have to be. And unfortunately for many, it's a necessary evil, and they would really rather not do it, but you have to do it now. Between social media, if you're promoting a product or service, a lot of authors come to me and they're like, I just want to write. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I'm like, yeah, I know, but if you want people to read your book, they need to know about it.
Yep, self-promotion. Everybody's got to do it nowadays. So what sorts of concerns do people come to you with that you're able to help them with?
Well, it's funny. The first thing that people will say, especially if it's a public speaking or a media appearance, is like, what do I do with my hands? And I'm like, do you normally think and ask and wonder what you're going to do with your hands? But it just means I'm not comfortable in my own space. I'm not comfortable in this environment that just seems so weird to me.
Yeah.
So the good rule of thumb is you don't want to enter what I call the monotone zone. So that basically means we all know what it sounds like when someone is monotone. It's really like watching paint dry. It's brutal. Nobody wants to sit there and listen to somebody that's lackluster, that doesn't have passion, that doesn't have some kind of life and excitement, right? So that's the first thing, is be passionate about what you're talking about, and know that we need to see that in your face, in your body language, in your words. So none of those things. So keep it moving. Like we're talking here right now. I'm not getting locked in any one position. I'm using my hands, I'm using my body and my voice and my face, all of these things to help kind of communicate that message to whoever's watching.
And enthusiasm is contagious.
It is.
That is really important. That's really your ultimate job when you're presenting.
Yes.
Is to make that enthusiasm contagious.
Exactly. And then so many people, they just fear that being in the spotlight. Like they don't want all eyes on them. They don't want to be the focus because maybe that's not their personality. And they are somebody who would rather have a one-on-one conversation or help people. And that's, though, the key. And I will say to them, it is a one-on-one conversation.
Yes.
And if your intention is to be of service, give value, and really help either the viewer that's through that lens or the audience member that's in front of you, that in itself can get you from getting stuck in your own head and thinking about you, because it shouldn't be about you at that point.
That's a really good point.
You know?
Yeah, it's not about you, it's about the message. And if you don't have full confidence in your message, why are you even communicating it?
Right, and it's about really the end user. Who is that viewer? Why is it important that they're going to benefit from this message? Like, how are you giving value so that even if you're not perfect, even if you make a mistake, even if you're human, which God forbid we're human, people want us to be human. But if a viewer knows, hey, they're really trying to give me some information that's going to benefit me or help me in some way, they're going to forgive any little mistakes or any little things that aren't perfect. And we don't like perfect people anyway.
That's a really good point. Being relatable is so much more important than being perfect, and offering value is even more important than being relatable.
Exactly.
So you're all set with that.
Yeah, a lot of times when people get nervous, I'll say, first of all, just because you're nervous doesn't mean you're not going to do a good job.
Yep.
All right, so throw that out the window. You know, I compare it to when a rocket ship takes off. What happens right beforehand? There's a lot of combustion, and there's a lot of upset, there's a lot of energy and all these other things that are uncomfortable perhaps, but then it gets you to be able to launch up to where you need to be. Yep. So even if you get those feelings before going on camera or before going out on stage, that means that you're getting sharp, that you're getting that energy that you need to get out there and hopefully do something for those people that are tuning in to you.
Absolutely. Speaking of people that are tuning in, if you have any questions or any particular concerns that you personally have around appearing on video, we've got the expert right here. So definitely go ahead and ask us any questions you may have. So you see a lot of video now, I'm sure,
Yes.
more than ever before.
Yeah.
What are some common things you see that you're like, oh, I could really help that person out with that?
Well, sometimes it's their delivery, and sometimes it's the way they're shooting themselves too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot of people will shoot down so that they're looking up and they look like Lilliputians, or they'll shoot from below and everything will hang,
God,
and
never
they'll age themselves even if that's not a concern. Sometimes they'll have weird things floating above because they're shooting the ceiling, or they have lighting behind them, or open windows, or all different things that can cause issues of this shot doesn't look great. And, and also, like, lighting can be important. I had this great lighting guy out in California years ago say to me, he was like, honey, they're never going to say, oh, she looks terrible, she was lit bad. They're just going to say, she looks awful. Right? So, you know, if you're Skyping, if you're doing any kind of a Facebook Live, if you're doing anything, make sure that, like, you're lit. Make sure that because shooting something or working on camera is trying to look natural in a completely unnatural setting.
Yes.
So that means you also then need some lights to help things look more normal.
Yep.
So as far as the performance end of things go, I think that it's when people get all official on you. Yeah. It's like, it's a conversation. We just want to feel like we can break bread with you. We can have a beer or a cup of coffee with you. If you start to sound like a host or sound all official or sound like a presenter, you know, it's off-putting. Yeah. It doesn't make sense, you know, and I think that people also that just want to push out information. I think that there's two ways that you can give information to people. You can either push it out to them, or you can pull them in and tell some stories.
That's a really
So I'm hoping we can tell some stories today.
Yeah, that's a really good visual, because that is really what it's all about, especially with social media video. Social media video is practically by definition not really professional video in most cases. So don't pretend it is. You know, it's a conversation. It is social. So you mentioned telling stories. Do you have some good stories about that you'd like to share?
Oh gosh, I think that it's that you have to not be so afraid of making a mistake. Yes. Because that in itself will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. I remember years ago, I had a guy that I was going to be interviewing in front of the camera, and we were live. And his name was Mitch Simmel. And I think I called him Mitch Smell by accident one time. And the entire time I worried that I was going to call this poor guy Mitch Smell. And I did. Of course I did, because that was what I was focusing on.
Live TV?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then I corrected myself. And obviously, that's not horrible. But you know, the fact is that if you worry about making mistakes, if you worry about trying so hard to be perfect, you actually cause that awkwardness to happen. So let's say that one of us had something planned and it didn't come out quite right, or we blanked, or you know,
that's never happened.
Forgot what we were gonna say, right? Like, if we just allow that to be and allow that to be okay, then the viewer's like cool with it. Yeah. But if we cringe and we are like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that, then they mirror us and then they react, because now they feel awkward because we're uncomfortable, and it's like this horrible downward spiral.
You have to take control of the focus.
Right.
If you make a mistake, if you flub something, take control, move that focus someplace else, move that focus to make the next thing you're doing really strong, so that they're so drawn into that, they don't care what you just did.
That's right. And laugh at yourself, or tell them, hey, yeah, you know, I could have said that better today, or didn't have my Wheaties this morning, or whatever, you know, call out the white elephant in the room. And people love that, because then they're like, oh, this is like a person just like me.
Absolutely. Yes, that is fantastic advice. Does anyone have any questions for us? Okay, no questions yet.
We're answering them all.
Maybe we are answering them all. We're awesome at that. Now, when someone does live video versus not live video, of course, you know, not live, there's a little more of an opportunity to correct mistakes and things like that. But, and see, here I am flubbing. I can't remember.
No, that's all right. But it's a good point. And if you remember, we'll jump back in. But the difference between live and taped is an important point, because sometimes when we're live, people freak out about that. Yeah. But the beautiful part about being live is that it's like burn the ships. You got to win the war, right?
Just keep going.
You have to keep going. And it's just great energy in the moment. You do sometimes tend to make better decisions because you're like, I have to keep going here. And when you're taping, sometimes you're not all in. Sometimes you're like, oh, well, I can do this over if I have to. I can fix it. And the energy of being live isn't there. So there's pros and cons for both. But I think that the main goal for each is as soon as you start feeling like, oh, what was I going to say? I'm getting locked in my head, or you're overthinking it, or you're over critiquing yourself, that is a red flag, telltale sign that you forgot to think about your viewer and how to be of service to them and give them value. Because now you're stuck here again. No, and not even that. I mean, it's normal because we're also thinking about what do we want to do next? What did I want to say? All those other things. But I mean, if you let it become a downward spiral in your head where it freezes you, you have to be like, snap out of it. And that didn't happen to you. Snap out of it because, oh my gosh, I'm realizing I'm getting stuck in that place. Get out of here and get back with them again.
Now, what are some immediately actionable tips that you have for someone to just kind of fake it? Like, are there any little tips you have when you're just not feeling it, you're not in the groove, you're not feeling confident, but you got to do it?
Yeah, that's when you have to say, look, everybody is really tuned into WIFM. What's in it for me, right? So if you're not into it, you're not feeling it, you have to find that, pull it up from your toes because it's for the viewer anyway. So you have to say, okay, somebody really needs this information. Somebody's really psyched about this. Somebody's thinking, hopefully this is the best thing since sliced bread. So I got to muster it up for them. Another thing is to say, all right, look, we all have bad days. We all are uncomfortable in our own skin sometime, or things are just not gelling. We're just not having that great rhythm and feeling, or our strongest and our best, right? So then we have to say, okay, I have to live in like a half-hour tight compartment right now, or a 10-minute compartment, or a 5-minute compartment where it may not be the best day, but I'm going to muster it up for this amount of time to be with these people, or to answer these interview questions, or to walk out on stage and be with these people. And then after I commit to that, then once I'm done, I can go home, play the world's smallest violin, put the comforter over my head, eat my bonbons, whatever it is. But for that moment, you have to say, it's a crappy day, but I'm going to muster it up and put everything I've got into it just for this time frame so that I can do justice and do the right thing for my viewer or for my audience.
Absolutely. Great advice. Now, you have a book coming out.
I do.
Called Confidence.
Yes.
Which is great. It's calm and confidence.
Yes, it's a blend of calm and confidence, and I trademarked that with the government so that I can own it and it's mine.
I love that because on the one hand, you do have to be animated, not calm, like lethargic.
Right.
But coming from that place of calm within.
Exactly.
Makes it flow so much better. Can you talk just a little bit about how to muster that confidence and how being calm helps you be animated?
Yes, it's true. And because it almost sounds like a contradiction, but think of the people that we see in charge in our lives, whether it is someone running a company, or a doctor, or a teacher, or somebody that you're looking to depend on in your life. You're thinking, I really hope they have their act together. A pilot on a plane is a great example. You want this guy walking on, or guy or gal walking on with calm, but owning it and feeling like this presence, right? So it's great to have somebody that has confidence and that's like an outgoing person. But if they seem like they're a little bit bouncing all over the place and they're not quite having that even keelness to them, you're like, not sure if I'm in the best hands here, right? So, but if you think of an athlete, or like Oprah is a great example of somebody who's like the best on camera. She had great energy, great passion, but yet there was this like running thread of this calmness through her, where you knew you were in good hands with her because she was in good hands with herself. And once you feel like you're in good hands with yourself, other people will feel like they're in good hands with you, and it's easier to pump it up and be excited and have passion when the normal baseline stuff is taken care of. It's almost like I heard a basketball coach one time talk about when guys that have been playing basketball in college come to the pros. They're like, well, I just got, drafted. I'm obviously good. Why do I need to keep going over the basics constantly? And this one coach said, because once you trust that you know the basics so well to where you don't even have to think about it, only then is when the magic can happen. Like it's got to be a thoughtless process, right? So whatever it takes for you to find your own internal calm and confidence, that can be practice, preparation, investing in personal development, taking good care of yourself, having faith in your higher power, yourself, or your abilities, whatever that might be. When you have that foundation, it's a lot easier to roll with the punches. And when a wrench gets thrown into things, or when you have to think on your feet, to be like, you know what? It might not be perfect, but I've got this.
Yeah. It's about channeling and controlling your own energy so that it's not controlling you.
Exactly. And talking to yourself so that their inner critic isn't talking to you.
That is huge. And that is very hard.
It's very hard. It's very hard. And everybody's got the inner critic. And I write about this a lot in the book. But the best thing about it is that it's not going to go away. That's not the best thing. It's not going to go away. But the best thing is you don't have to take direction from it. Mm-hmm. And when I coach people and train them, they'll tell me later on, oh, yeah, I heard you saying this when I got into this situation, or I remembered you saying that, or whatever that may be. And I say to them, you know, that's actually not me in your head. That's you becoming your own coach in your head. Because now you've learned the tools and the skills and the things that you need to do to be either good at what you're doing or confident speaking in front of a camera or a group. But ultimately, it ends up being you alone in that situation. So you have to turn that inner critic into an inner coach that you're going to listen to.
That's really smart.
And it's which one you feed. There's this old great story about this American Indian native grandfather who was talking to his son, and he was trying to explain to his grandson. He's trying to explain to him that each of us have two wolves in our mind. Have you heard this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the one is, doubt and evil and a couple of other things, and the other one is goodness and confidence and courage and those things. And the grandson says to him, well, Papa, which one wins? Because they're in a battle. And he said, the one that you feed.
That is so true.
So we have to watch how we're talking to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we have to, what we say to ourselves is the most important thing we'll ever hear. So we have to be careful on how we're doing that.
Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right.
Absolutely. It's so true. And I know it's easy talking, but I have some confidence tips that are like more like substantial, like kind of tangible things that people can do to help take the edge off, if you want to talk about that at some point.
Absolutely. How can people take the edge off? Because that is huge. So many people I talk to, I'm like, you got to get on live video. And part of it is they don't know what to talk about. Right. And I try to help them out with that because that's a big part of what I do. But part of it is they don't want to be on camera because they don't like the way they look, or they feel like they look weirder on camera than in real life, which is true for many of us. Or they're afraid they're going to mess up. Right. So what are some quick tips to take the edge off, to give a quick snack to the good wolf?
Yes, absolutely.
The wolf who believes in us.
That's right. So I think that you want to get familiar with what you look like on camera. Yeah. So if you're contemplating doing this, start shooting yourself on a cell phone. Start doing things to where you can play with lighting, play with makeup, play with wardrobe, things like that, to where at least you don't need to love yourself. You don't need to think, oh my God, I look fantastic. You need to just say, you know what, that's good enough. I'm happy. Like, it's enough, right?
And even the angle at which you hold your body can make a difference. Absolutely. Like, for example, I'm a little self-conscious about my weight today. I'm leaning forward a little bit more. So you see my face more than you see anything that's further away. Right. Little things you can do. And I wouldn't know that if I weren't on camera a lot.
If you hadn't watched, that's right. So whenever people come to me and they say, oh, I never watch myself on camera, I don't want to. I'm like, that's like a plumber telling me he doesn't know what his tools are. Yeah. Or anybody that would come to do something, a doctor that says, I don't really want to look at the brain, I'm just going to operate on it. It's like, seriously, you need to know yourself.
And I don't want to look at the x-rays. I'll just get in there.
Right. But once you know yourself, you trust yourself. And there is nothing worse than somebody looking fabulous on stage or on camera and they're an empty suit. And they're not giving any value. People can tell it's the all about them show. They have no intention of doing something good and really being there 100% for the audience. I mean, we all know people that we've met that when we first met them, we were like, we didn't think they were attractive, or they just weren't our type or whatever. And then you get to know their personality and you just fall in love with them.
Totally changes.
Everything about them. You just want to spend time with them. You want to be with them, right? So I think that we have to stop being overcritical of ourselves and realize it is all about giving and making a connection. And hopefully the reason you're doing it, the whole reason you're doing this is because you want to help somebody. Yeah. Right? So you have to focus on that. And at some point you have to say, it's good enough. They're not going to be judging me on, how perfect or not perfect you look. They're going to walk away and they're going to say, I either got something out of that or I didn't. So those are really two important things to think about. There are some things that you can do that kind of just take that edge off. That fight or flight thing is real. We get that adrenaline burst, we get that heart palpitation. We can feel like it's an out-of-body experience.
And if you don't have any Pinot Grigio available at that particular moment.
And I've got a good story about that, okay? So, yes, I understand what you're saying, but liquid confidence and things like that are not a great idea. And remind me to tell you a story about this in a second. But one thing I can tell you is there's this amazing thing called lemon balm blend or lemon balm extract. You can get it at any health food store. A friend of mine's sister who's going through chemotherapy, who was getting some anxiety, her doctor recommended to it. It's just a little droplet. You put it under your tongue like echinacea, if you've ever tried anything like that. And it just takes that edge off. It's been compared to like a natural Xanax, but not as powerful, not addicting at all. It's all natural. And Dr. Oz had it on his show not that long ago. I recommend this to a lot of people for public speaking anxiety, for interview anxiety, things like that. And it just takes a little bit of that edge off, but it doesn't dull your thinking. It doesn't make you feel mildly buzzed or anything like that.
It channels you.
It just takes that edge off a little bit. It does, right? And then other things that you can do are make sure that you get rid of some of that energy. Go and do jumping jacks in the bathroom. Go exert, go for a walk in the morning before you're going to do that. Try to be like exerting energy to get rid of that nervous energy. And then one other really effective thing is, before we go in front of the camera or stage or an interview like this, we're juggling so many things. It's almost like our head is like this shaken snow globe.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So what you do, I had this author that I was media training years ago. His name is Mark Thornton. He wrote a book called Meditation in a New York Minute. And he talked about how he left the Wall Street rat race because he was getting ill. And he got into meditation, and they started going into corporations and teaching them how to do this. And he said, you don't have to like dim the lights, light the candles, chant Om, and go into pretzel position. He goes, literally for 30 seconds at the water cooler, you can just calm your mind and like get everything to settle. And I took this a step further, and I pictured a shaken snow globe. And I teach my clients, just sit there and take a deep breath, let the breath out, and then see the snow globe of your mind and see everything settle until it's clear. And then you can see the clear water. And just that in itself can lower your heart rate, can lower your blood pressure, can make you feel like you're going into a situation with a more calm, clear mind, like a clean slate.
I love that. In fact, this is going to sound silly, but one of the most popular pins on Pinterest among parents is there's this thing where you can make a calm jar. You put glitter glue and water or something, and then you glue the lid shut with your kid. And they shake it up when they're kind of, freaking out and need to go in the corner and chill out a minute. They shake it up, and then they watch it kind of meditatively. They watch it settle. And then when the glitter is calm, they can continue. In fact, I need to make one of those for my kids.
It's great. That's like a great mindfulness exercise, which is great for kids with anxiety or adults with anxiety.
Yeah.
And something along those lines that I know a psychologist, a friend of mine that has worked with kids and it works for adults, is to just lay down and put like a book or, information, your resume, a script, whatever is up against you at that moment that you're carrying, your cell phone. And when you lay down and you watch your stomach rise it so it doesn't fall off, and then slowly let it go. And just the practice of taking that few minutes to mindfully let your body get in tune with your breathing and not have all those balls in the air that we're all juggling. Just something like that, a few minutes can actually help you get into a situation where you're finding that confidence more too.
Yeah, sometimes I give myself a little supercharging of my powers. And I kind of picture that I'm in the ocean. And sometimes it's wavy and choppy, but you can't get out of the ocean. You're in the middle of the ocean. Yeah. All you can do is float. Yep. And eventually the waves will calm down and you're all good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Bria, do we have any questions? No questions? Oh, well.
Hi.
Hi, somebody.
But another thing, I love the analogy of the choppy ocean and floating there, because I think that when there is like undertow and bad, serious undertow, they tell you not to fight it, that you're supposed to just kind of go with it and then eventually you'll get out of it.
Yeah.
So that's the same kind of thing for stress and for worry and for getting yourself all worked up before you're going to be on camera. It's like, stop fighting it. Stop saying, oh, I shouldn't be nervous. I hate being nervous. It's like, you're going to be nervous. And that's okay. And you're not going to not be nervous until you do it more often. You eventually get desensitized to it, which is the only way that that's going to happen is by doing it, by doing the thing you fear. And the death of fear is definite, or whatever that quote was. But that is true. The more you do it, the more desensitized you'll get, the more you'll start enjoying it. And there was this great interview with Jerry Seinfeld a few years ago where a guy said to him, you're up in front of sometimes an audience that is not so nice, and they're heckling. Being a comedian is a tough gig.
What's
People are
the deal
drinking.
with heckling?
Right, exactly. And Seinfeld, he said to him, how do you find your confidence when you're up there? And this was years ago, and I think he was asking him also when he first started. And he said, you know what? He goes, at some point, he goes, I just decided that I love those people out there. Whoever they are, whatever it is, they're an audience that come to listen to me or come to see me or that wants to spend time here or maybe not, but I'm going to decide that I love those people out there, So whenever I do something in front of the camera or if I go out to speak in front of, there's been 10,000 people in a room, there's been millions of people on air live that I've had to go up in front of. And I'll just say to myself, I'm just going to decide that I love those people out there. I'm going to be here to, again, inspire them, educate them, inform them, do something that I hope that they're going to benefit by. And if it is somebody that gets nothing from it, well, then this isn't for them. Just like my book, I'm sure when I publish it, there's going to be hopefully people that like it, and there might be some critics that poo-poo it, but then it's not for them. They're not the people that need the confidence boost or need some of this information. Hopefully they've got it all together. Great for them, but there are going to be people that it's going to help. So I think when you talk to the camera and when you are in front of an audience, you just have to say that I'm here to help these people, and the people that are going to be helped are going to be helped, and the people that aren't, there's nothing I can do about that. I could just do my best.
That is so hugely important.
Right.
Yeah. It's for the people who you're for. And we do have a question. Yay, what's our question?
Any vocal tips for public speaking that you like to share?
Yes. So I'm great. Thank you for asking that. So voice is hugely important because we know that it can be incredibly distracting if someone is speaking too fast. It's like a drive-by shooting. It's like you can't right over your head. You don't even know what you're saying. So you're going to speak fast when you're nervous. 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, people who are nervous are going to speak fast. So you have to remind yourself of this. And if it's your true intention to help people, picture yourself as a teacher up in front of the room, and you don't want this to go over their heads. So slow down, not just for yourself, but that your viewers or your audience can digest what you're about to tell them. Another important thing is that many women in particular, we tend to sometimes be nasal, or we can end up in high C when we're talking, and every line gets up higher when we're nervous or whatever it may be. So you want to do this trick where it's called saying the word mood, or getting in the mood. A voiceover artist trainer told me this a long time ago. So you say the word mood, mood, mood. Right? It sounds funny. Are you getting in the mood yet? Am I getting you in the mood? So what it does is it actually gets you out of this place, this nasally place, and in your throat where you can get stuck. It lifts that soft palate up behind your hard roof of your mouth, and it starts to come down and engage your stomach muscles when you're talking. So you'll say mood, mood, mood. And we come and we speak from a deeper place. Right? It's a deeper, stronger, more confident sounding place.
It's more resonant.
More resonant. And our voice sounds better. We sound like we're more direct and sure of ourselves. And it's just a better sounding voice that people want to listen to. And this is something you can practice ordering Starbucks, getting coffee, in line at the mailbox, mail post office, wherever it is. Start doing these things ahead of time before you need them. And then the final tip would be to avoid verbal graffiti, which is ahs and ums and you knows, is such like, that term is literally a cancer in our society because we're so used to hearing it now. And it's okay if there's a couple, and I'm sure I've done them here today, but it's when there's 6, 7, 8, 9 of them that it becomes people stop listening to your message. It's like that commercial for the Tide Stain where the stain tar started talking at a job interview and the guy couldn't even hear what the guy was saying. He's just looking at that thing. So the reason that all of those things that's called verbal graffiti happens is because we're afraid to have moments of silence.
Yes.
We feel like we have to keep going. We're compelled to fill. You have to just say to yourself, I'm going to just pause. And if I pause for a second and I forgot where I was going, that's okay, because 2 or 3 seconds to us seems eternal when you're the one in the spotlight,
Yeah.
but doesn't seem like it to the people on the receiving end.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have pauses, studies show people think we're more intelligent.
Yes.
We're more thinking hard on that. We want to give you some good information, that we're not just rattling off a script or just pushing that information out there. So pauses show that you care. They show that you're well thought out, that you want to give people a chance to digest this before you move into another direction. So slow yourself down. Don't be afraid of the silence. And those two things will make you sound more confident. You'll be in the driver's seat. You'll feel more in control, and those distractions won't be there as much. And get in that mood. Always think about that feeling like you're doing a stomach crunch. Even if you don't do them, think about, where you would engage that diaphragm, those stomach muscles. And that's where you want that voice to be coming out from. And then every new sentence, start lower again. Rather than each sentence getting higher and higher, at the end of a sentence, drop down and lower your register again, and then start speaking.
Absolutely. Fantastic tips. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
This has been Patricia Stark from Patricia Stark Communications. Her book, Confidence, will be coming out later this year. We should all go grab our copies, because who couldn't use more calm and more confidence, especially on video?
That's right.
I'm Christine Gritmon. I do this show, Social, every Friday at noon on Facebook Live. So be sure to join me next week. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.